The Panthers are a weird team. We go on streaks. It's around this time of year where you start to see weird things happen with this team, where one night we'll look like the Cup champions, the next night we'll look like a very bad team. A very bad team like Nashville or the Hawks too. So
no. Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of the Pacific Perspectives podcast. I am Nux Memes once again, as always, joined by the incomparable, in a bad way, Mimamoto. And also, we have a special guest today, Jared, aka Barkov Memes. Tell us a little about yourself, Jared.
About myself?
Yep.
Well, let me tell you what. I live in Florida. That's about it. That's all you need to know. Let's get on with it.
Right, perfect. You failed to mention
that's about all you need to know
Panthers
about him,
fan,
yeah.
Which is like the one main thing that you're supposed to mention. Some people can't see your jersey.
They can't?
We're on Spotify.
Okay,
and Amazon.
It does say Panthers right across.
Yeah, and our away jerseys say Florida on it.
How are the people listening without the YouTube video here gonna know that it says Panthers when they don't have video, you dumb fucks?
My friends, if you are listening on Spotify right now, please go over to YouTube to watch the remainder of this episode. There's added context with the videos.
All right, if you guys are still here after introing that guest, thank you.
Don't worry, they're at YouTube now.
Awful start to your debut, by the way.
Yeah, terrible. Rory would never do this.
Way better.
All right, so let's start off with talking a bit about our teams. We'll pass it over to you for some redemption right now. How do you feel about the Panthers right now? Break it down. How are they doing?
I'm loving the Panthers right now. I mean, I'm sure you expected that from me. Number 1 in the Atlantic. We're pretty high in the East right now. I think we got to be top 3. I don't think we're number 1 right now, but we're up there. Sam Reinhart. Let's talk about Sam Reinhart, all right? The amazing start he's had to his season. He is at 19 goals. He's looking for number 20. Every single goal that he scores, he's making that contract look better and better. And I'm sure on the backstretch, the battles that are going to come with it, more goals are going to come. And we're going to see Sam Reinhart really come into his own.
That was well said.
Thank you. I'm glad one person here understands.
Before I move on, I gotta ask: Do you think this team is tired? Would you say
no?
No, not at all.
No. And I think that's clear because we're in December and we're at the top of the Atlantic.
True.
I think that we have our moments. The style of hockey that we play is not an 82-game style. It works a lot better in tight playoff series, which is why you see us kind of crumble sometimes, which has happened recently. We've had a little bit of a skid where we seem to be back on the right track, but we had a little bit of a skid. And that happens. It happens to all great teams. We just can't play. Our style is not for 82 games. But I don't think we look tired at all. And I think that's clear because you see guys like Kachuk, he had 11 points this week.
True.
11 points in 3 games. And he battles harder than most of our team, especially in the playoffs. So that just doesn't look like tired to me.
So you think they can go back? Okay, do you think they're going back to back? Not only do you think they can, but are they?
I think they can, but as we all know, playoffs requires a lot of luck. Can we be as lucky as we were last year, as on top of how skilled we were last year? We didn't sustain any major injuries last year except for the Bennett injury, which was way in the beginning of the playoffs. Can that happen again? And I would say that they probably are a top 3 favorite right now to win the Cup. I don't think there's a lot of teams when the Panthers are in their game playing their style of hockey. There's not a lot of teams that could beat them, realistically speaking. But the question is, will they play that exact style for the entire playoffs again?
We'll see. JC, what do you guys say about the Canucks?
I don't even know what's happening anymore. They're just so good on the road and just so bad at home. I mean, the road trip was incredible. It was amazing. We didn't have Miller for all of it, all 6 games. We lost Hronik halfway through. We had to watch She Loves play hockey, and we still went back to Vancouver 4-1-1 in those 6 games. And every game except for the one win against Boston was a 1-goal game, which I like because you got to be able to win those close games, and they were able to lock it down a lot of times and take home the 2 points or push the game to overtime. I mean, that game against Minnesota, the last game on the road trip, you're playing the 1 seed in the entire league in their barn after a long road trip. You've been traveling for 2 weeks straight. You've already taken home 4 wins on your road trip. and now you have this challenge without Hronik, without Miller, and they battled. I mean, they gave up the tying goal early in the third, and I was a little bit worried because that's kind of the period where after a road trip, like, you might be out of legs, but they outplayed Minnesota in that period. They pushed it to overtime. Brock Besser hit the post, and it was really depressing, and Kaprizov just rifled one home. That was kind of beautiful, honestly. Like,
it was
a fun overtime,
so nice. It was so nice.
I mean, I was happy with that loss. Like, I wasn't happy to lose, but I was happy with how they played in that game. They showed a lot of heart, and they came back to Vancouver. They got their shit pummeled by Columbus in the first period, but they came back. Merzlikins decided he didn't want to be in the crease anymore, and they got the win in that game. The game today, we're recording this on Sunday. I don't know when it's going up, but the game today against Tampa was disgusting. I mean, you take a too many men penalty with 6 minutes left. Obviously, it's going to come back to bite you. I think I genuinely don't get mad when the Canucks get scored on after taking a too many men penalty because I feel they deserve it. I've never got that. I can't be mad. They deserve to get scored on. The goalie doesn't.
Do you not feel that way with any other penalty though? Like, what if it's an egregious high stick? Like, he did it. He totally did it.
Well, no, because like those things are stuff that happen in a normal hockey game. In the NHL level, there's no reason you should have 6 fucking guys on the ice unless you've pulled the goalie.
And that's a one guy thing. When a guy takes a big high stick, it's like, okay, well, like Evander Kane, I hate you, but like I feel like when it's too many men,
too, but the whole
it's not
team
one
doesn't
guy.
deserve to suffer.
Yeah,
when it's a too many men call, like they're just like such
that's a coach
mental
issue.
lapses that it's like you deserve to be punished for that so that you don't do it again. And we had such a crazy problem with it last year. I think like midway through the season, we had like 10 minors, bench minors for too many men. It was insane. We've been better at it this year, but I mean, pardon?
That's Diddy levels of minors.
We've been better at not having too many men this year, but I mean, taking one with 6 minutes left.
Why'd we have this guy on the podcast? Anyways,
I'm never getting through the rest of this.
Did you have more you wanted to say?
Well, I was in the middle of a sentence, but no, it's fine. Just talk about your fucking Oilers.
My bad.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to hear about them. Nobody.
You can continue.
I don't think he wants to continue anymore.
I'll cut it out. All right, I cramped his style. You know, frankly, hold on.
Who's Frank?
Frankly, I don't have too much to say about the Oilers because at this point it's like this is what happens every single December. They just, oh no, the goalies have sucked so bad and they have really good underlying numbers, but they're not scoring. And then they start scoring and they start not allowing a lot of goals again. It's just, it was inevitable. But one thing I will say that does surprise me is Darnell Nurse is, and this scared me, Darnell Nurse is actually playing good. And it's a little scary because he's playing with Troy Stecher. And in the last, I think, 10 games, he's run a 62% expected goals for. And I think he's outscoring people like 5-1. Like stuff you just do not expect out of Darnell Nurse. Even like 22-23 Darnell Nurse, where he was like genuinely almost worth a part of his contract. Now,
you feel this is sustainable?
I mean, he has actually changed the way he's played hockey. Before, when he, like last year, he sucked just completely all the way through the playoffs, and he was pretty healthy too. Now he had a little bit of an injury, but it wasn't to his legs, so he's fine. His foot speed is better, but I find most of the issues that I have with Darnell Nurse is he takes absolutely no risks. He's so insanely safe with the way he plays. Like every time he plays defensive part of the net, he just lies down so he doesn't have to make a decision. He's just taking a little bit of a lane away, which, I mean, that works sometimes, but he does that all the time, and it's so predictable, and he gets scored on so much where he's just sitting on his belly and like, man, get a stick in there. Could have done something. He seems to actually be able to adapt to plays a lot more, which, I mean, frankly, is not something that you should have to say about a $9 million defenseman, but I think he's solidly a good, like $7 million guy. as he was like kind of the year after he signed his contract, where he was like playing tolerable, and you could kind of defend the contract, and then he played like not even a bot. Like Brett Kulak was getting more ice time than him in the playoffs, so he got outplayed by Brett Kulak, who was paid like 2.5. So that wasn't good. But if we can actually have Nurse play decent hockey, I mean, you've got your 4 very good defensemen right there when Brett Kulak is playing as good as he is right now. So just need a goalie, maybe a replacement for Troy Stetcher, because I do not like that guy, despite scoring the flukiest goal I've ever seen yesterday. It was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, the Oilers are fine. The Oilers are fine. They're going to be a top 6 team like everyone thought, and people can make fun of them, but they're fine.
Now, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows for the Oilers in the year of 2024 as they lost in the Stanley Cup Final. Do you guys have any thoughts on this new rivalry between the Oilers and Panthers?
It's not even a rivalry, and I mean, you can't have a rivalry between a West and East team unless it's like Detroit and Chicago, but that's a different story. I mean, I don't know. I feel like people talk about how at least in the Oilers fandom, they talk about how much they hated Carolina back in the day. I have absolutely no hard feeling, especially for Panthers fans. I don't really care. I mean, I care that we lost, and it keeps me up at night. But like, I hate Vegas fans still from 2 years ago. I absolutely hate the Jets. I still despise Mark Scheifele from 4 years ago. I don't even care that, like, I care about it, but the Panthers, I mean, Barkov's good, Kachuk's cool, now that he's not a Flame, like, Bobrovsky's kind of funny, like, honestly, no hard feelings. I don't know how you feel, Jared, but...
I feel like it's hard to have hard feelings when we came out on top. You know, how are we going to win and then
That's
I still
true.
be hating? But, when I think of like the teams I hate the most, immediately what comes to mind is Vegas, Tampa, Boston. Maybe not in that order, but the Oilers don't even come close. I don't hate them like I do those teams. I mean, fuck Vegas, first of all. Vegas, I've hated them since the day they came into this league, and mostly because I was jealous that they made the final way quicker than we had at the time. I was happy when the Caps won that year. Tampa, obviously I hate Tampa. They're our interstate rivals. I despise the shit out of them. And Boston recently has actually blossomed into a pretty fun rivalry with the recent playoff series, even though we destroyed their entire franchise. So in terms of Oilers, I mean, there were Oilers fans who gave me shit during the final, and why shouldn't they? You know, I have to be one of the bigger pages for the Panthers. It's natural. My fans still don't like you very much, and I'm sure anybody.
Oh, your fans. Your fans.
Yeah, my followers do not like you very much. They're not a big fan, and they think that I hate you too. And part of me does.
Mythological.
But part of me also doesn't.
Oh.
Part of me doesn't, you know.
Oh, I see.
I remember when I teamed up with JC to make that nice collab post that we made right leading up to Game 7, and I felt the love of Canucks Nation. And I still do feel that love, I really do. And I'm sorry that you guys couldn't be the ones that gave me that love. But in terms of if I hate the Oilers, I don't know. I mean, Darnell Nurse in the Stanley Cup Final, pretty much as bad as 2020 Mike Matheson, which was some of the worst defensive work I've ever seen in my entire life. Darnell Nurse was so bad in the final that I almost felt bad.
He was so bad that at points they were giving, well, actually the entire final they gave Brett Kulak the second pair over him. Darnell Nurse was playing on the third pair against the Panthers, and he was still putting up bad numbers. I'll never forget that.
He should have been scratched entirely.
Honestly,
I think that anybody would have been better. Bring up an AHLer. I don't care.
They probably could have played Broberg at his proper left side, because they were playing Broberg with Darnell Nurse, and that was about the only good thing that ever came out of that pair. Even though they were still technically getting caved, Broberg did something with his little 5 minutes there.
Listen, all I'm going to say though is I'm happy we got our first. You know, I think that it was something that this franchise needed to succeed. I think that 2 back-to-back finals losses would have been devastating for the franchise.
Oh, that would have been
trying to build a fan base. You know, our fan base has gotten much bigger. I don't know if you've known this, but we are probably somewhere in the top 15 for attendance this year, which is a lot better than bottom 10. It's much better. I go to all the games. It's a lot more full in there. It feels a lot more lively.
That's good.
I like it. I like how it feels to have fans. It's been a massive increase in attendance.
Our interactions are way too calm right now. I'm just realizing that right now. Like I'm being way too respectful. I actually lost my train of thought there.
Say something mean. Do it.
Okay, I can't say something mean, but can you think of a single game in NHL history, and you don't have to be an NHL historian, can you think of a single NHL game where if one team had won, it changes everything? I think Game 7 against the Panthers, if it went the other way, it changes everything. That is the biggest sports comeback in like decades.
I got a much better answer for you. I think it was either Game 81 or 82, Blackhawks Penguins in 2023. It started this whole thing because the Penguins lost a game that they should have won against the Blackhawks, which led to the Panthers squeaking in as the second wildcard team by 1 point, which led to the Panthers winning that Game 7 against Boston, which led to us making the finals in the first place that first year. Mm-hmm. We never make the finals in 2023. We never make the finals in 2024 either.
And that game gave them Bedard.
Well, there you go. That
is pretty big. For a regular season, I'd say that, yeah.
I think if you want to go... I would say if we had Demko and Besser for Game 7 against Edmonton, McDavid is currently... McDavid is currently retired.
Honestly, though, I don't know what would happen if we lost to the Canucks. That would have been pretty devastating up there.
I think the Panthers still would have won the cup. There was nobody in the West that was standing up to them.
I mean, if Dallas showed up, anything could have happened. I don't know. I think I'd probably give them an equal chance. I think I said going into the final, it's 50-50. I'd also give Dallas that 50-50.
Everybody else gave it a 50-50 too. It was pretty crazy, and how it ended up in Game 7 literally is the definition of 50-50.
Yeah, one goal. Man,
being at that Game 7 was crazy. I'm glad that I got to experience that, but I would never want to experience anything like it ever again.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I had people telling me that I couldn't make fun of the Oilers for losing in the Cup final because they battled back from down 3-0.
You can do whatever you want.
You lost anyway. I'm going to make fun of you. Fuck you.
That's more reason you couldn't get the job done.
Yeah. Oilers fan, I mean, you can do whatever you want. No, if anything, you make fun of them more for losing in Game 7. I think I've gotten over it by accepting that, just the joke of it.
It was really fun.
If you guys don't mind, I want to tell a little story about my experience at Game 7.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced in terms of sports. I mean, the atmosphere in that building was insanity. I met Biz, kind of a dick. I went up to him. I was going to offer to buy him a shot, and then a couple other guys were crowding near me, trying to meet him, and he was like, "Oh, well, I'm not taking pictures, guys. I'm not taking pictures." So he's a bitch for that.
He didn't even answer you?
No, he didn't.
You should have assembled 6 other dudes and jumped him.
I'm saying, bro. And then I saw Papa John. He was standing.
No way.
I have a picture. He was standing 10 feet away from you. It was the original Papa John, the one that got fired.
The Papa John.
Wait, is this the one who said the day of reckoning would be soon?
Yeah, it was that one.
Oh, that's crazy.
Same guy. I saw him. He was there. This was all in one general area, by the way. There's a terrace where you can get drinks, there's live music, whatever. All of this was happening in the same general area. Then I met the guys from Empty Netters, and I told them to bet for Hagee anytime goal, and they called me crazy. And then it hit. First goal, 2 minutes in. So I was thinking about them thinking wow, that kid was right. We should have listened to him.
Those guys are idiots, nice. By the way.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't win money, and I did. I bet it. No balls.
Xavier, what was your viewing experience like in Game 7? Because I want to get to mine, too, so we can all just go through this.
I remember every single second of that day. Let me tell you. I remember getting up like it was Christmas morning, only to have my dream shattered, like a child getting
so we were opposite
some coal.
Then. I woke up dreading the day. I was like, fuck, bro, we're going to close
and then
today. This is it.
Oh, man. I don't know. In my mind, especially the reason because I'm not so bothered by losing, I had already let go. I wasn't even going to watch Game 4. I wasn't even going to watch it. I had already let go. After we were down in Game 3, I'd let it go. And I went to that game. I went to Game 3. And then everything after that, it's all about framing. Everything after that is just a gift. I was there for Game 6, and it was the best game I'll ever go to. That and Game 4 against Dallas, and it just, I was loving every moment, but it was like, I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm fine. I would have cried if we won, because truly that's a thing where I feel like we have already lost until the exact moment. Even if we were up like 10 goals in Game 7, this thing with Oilers fans, you can't accept a lead. You're not happy until it's over. We could have been up like 5. I wouldn't have cared. I would have just sat there, folded my hands, act like nothing's happening, and that's how I acted the whole game. I mean, I popped off when Janmark scored. That's a crazy guy to play to score in a Game 7 final, and McDavid didn't. But man, although I will say the one thing I hate about that Game 7 and the Game 6 beforehand is people pretending like McDavid ghosted or something like that. Like,
how many points did he get in those 2 games?
He got 0 points.
How many goals did Draisaitl have?
He actually was really bad in the final. I gotta say,
wasn't Evan Rodriguez the top scorer in the final?
Thank you, Tyler Myers, for ruining Leon Draisaitl.
I'm pretty sure Draisaitl had like his entire chest broken by the end of it, but
yeah,
not an excuse. But McDavid wasn't even. Was he injured? He might have been injured. But either way, he played very good in those games. Just because Bobrovsky was really good, he played very good. He played very good.
You may not like what I have to say, but he just got neutralized by Barkov and Forsling. It's that simple.
I don't think so.
He got neutralized by the top 2 defensive-minded players in the final at that point, and 2 of the best in the entire game as a whole.
I don't know. I really
suffered the same fate.
So. I mean, Draisaitl just wasn't really moving. He didn't really have to be neutralized, and he got different deployment. There's a reason they were playing him together with McDavid. It always happens when one of them is injured. But McDavid, you saw all the chances he got in Game 7. He was easily involved in like 6 or 7 grade A chances to get it right in the net. Blocked by Forsling sometimes in Barkov.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you remember that?
But also just straight up saved by Bobrovsky. So I feel like he played really good.
He almost tied it, but it was blocked by Forsling. He got right in front of that shit. Took McDavid's stick away. McDavid was burying that. 100%
It was a legendary play, but I mean, he solidly controlled the ice when he was on. I don't remember the exact stats, but it was something like 85% of the shots when he was on the ice in the finals.
Yeah, well, your numbers are no match for my eyes, and my eyes see a Stanley Cup banner hanging in our arena.
But what about the grit, buddy? What about the grit?
Yeah, we had more grit. That's why we won.
It's because you didn't have Darnell Nurse. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is funny because Nurse is grit.
All right, you guys have yapped. I want to talk about my day on the.
Gee, I wonder.
Oh yeah, how did you do it?
Like it was our teams.
I'm sensing some tension here.
Can I go now,
Yes,
guys?
go ahead.
Can I talk? Okay. So, I woke up that day, and I'm the one of us who didn't have a horse in the race, but I kind of did because I hate the Oilers so much, and I hated their fans, especially around that time. I wasn't even talking shit at all during the playoff series, and they still came to my DMs and comments to gloat after winning Game 7 against our hospital team, by the way, who hadn't made playoffs in the 4 years before, but good win, guys. Anyway, I was obviously cheering heavy against the Oilers, like so heavy. But I woke up that day, and I got the shittiest haircut I've ever gotten in my entire life. And I went out with a girl, and I met up with her at 2:30 in the afternoon, and the game started at 8. I got home at 8:10. I had a dead phone for like 3 hours before it. I get home, I walk in, and I just see Rory sitting in the living room. Our last podcast guest. I see him sitting in the living room with my dad, and they're just hanging out. I didn't even know he was coming, so he was sitting with my dad for like half an hour watching the pre-show while I was just out getting ice cream and shit.
He's a bit of a skinwalker, isn't he?
I should have spent that half hour with Rory. Now looking back on it, I wish I had, but whatever. Watching the game, I was genuinely stressed out because I had just had to watch Vegas win the Stanley Cup the year before, and I did not want that at all. Obviously, I've hated Vegas for a while.
Torn out
I
all my
hate the
brains
team
out.
so much. I like two of the players on their team. I hate their fans. I
They're so
hate
hateable.
the city of Vegas. I didn't want to go through that a second year in a row.
I don't
So
agree with you on the last point. I love Vegas.
I was. Yeah, you're just a gambling degenerate. Let me keep talking.
So
So I was stressed out. I was watching it, and the Panthers got a lead. Janmark scored like a really nice goal. I remember posting that people watching their first ever NHL game think Matthias Janmark is the best player on planet Earth because he looked really good. And
Yeah,
Reinhardt
that's good.
sniped that one home. That's got to be a save by Stuart Skinner every single time, but it's Stuart Skinner, so obviously it sneaks through. And they just shut it down. And then McDavid cried like a little bitch in the dressing room, and it was beautiful for me. It was a great day. Okay,
That's
do we want
great.
to move on to? We've been talking about that for a while. Do we want to move on to the Rangers? You guys have stuff you want to say about the Rangers?
Oh yeah, the
That's not the next
Rangers.
topic.
They lost 7-5 to the Seattle Kraken. Jonathan Quick's first bad game of the season, and it seems like it's just continuing to tumble down. I mean, you lost to the Kraken after trading your captain. I mean, despite him being absolutely awful and not worth the contract, trading your captain after just naming him captain probably isn't a very good message to send the group, especially after, that letter that was sent out, and now they're saying that they're going to trade half the team away, especially Kreider, all the vets. I mean, if you're a Ranger right now, you probably don't have as good of a motivation to play as some of the other teams out there, I got to say. Although Shesterkin got paid, that's nice. He's the one good player on their team.
Sends a good message.
Good for them.
Really?
Trouba away. I feel like it sends a good message to the team. If you play like utter ass, you're on the chopping block. And if we trade our captain, we'll trade you.
Maybe.
So I feel like I mean I love the move for New York.
Well,
first of all, like
yeah.
that is a great move. You got to get rid of Trouba. He sucks. If he's not killing someone, then he's useless. So I think it was a good move, and I think they'll find their footing. I mean, they're obviously going to find their footing at some point. I think the Eastern Conference playoffs are already pretty much set, so I think they're fine. And I mean, it's important to struggle earlier in the season or midway through the season, because if you don't have a rough go at some point, it's going to catch up to you in playoffs, like it did to Boston a couple years ago when they lost in Game 7 to,
True.
The
So
Panthers.
it's important to lose in the regular season, and stuff like this, going through this, can make them stronger, assuming they find their footing in the playoffs.
Do you guys think that they are a playoff team, though?
Definitely. If you look at the standings, like the top 8 are already currently so clear of the rest of the field.
If Shesterkin
I wouldn't
continues
say
to play
that.
like this, they're not a playoff team.
They're definitely a playoff team.
The Flyers
I don't care
are
what
only 2
Money
points
Puck's model
behind them.
says.
The Flyers are
Money
only
Puck's
2
model
points
likes
behind them.
Utah.
Well, Money Puck's model also likes us, so I like them. But the Flyers are only 2 points behind the Rangers. They're only 1 point actually behind them. The Islanders are tied with them right now. The Penguins
Rangers
are 1
have games in
behind.
hand, though.
You
They
got to
have
win the
games in
games
hand,
planned.
but you have to win the games in hand. That's
Yep.
the problem.
They're
You
not
have to win
finishing
the games in
below
hand.
the Flyers either.
Well, no,
But it
but
doesn't matter if they win the games in hand because they're tied. They're
if
not-
they do miss the playoffs, it'll be because like they'll be a top 16 team, but if they miss the playoffs, it'll be because the East is like way too stacked. Like they'll get like 96 points and miss in like
But it's
15th
not.
place.
It's not.
Well, I don't know
It's
if
bad.
if the Penguins come back, never mind. Okay,
It's actually almost the opposite because the Rangers would not be a playoff team in the West right now.
really?
They'd be outside. They would be outside.
I mean, I guess. Oh man, hold on. I got to check on this really close fantasy matchup. Nope, we clutched it up. We're chilling. All right.
They're having a rough go, but they're a playoff team. And they have
I
3
mean-
games to hand on the Islanders. If the Islanders didn't have... The Islanders are 11-18 if you include the OT losses. This is such a fraudulent team, and it's disgusting.
You know
They're
what?
better than
I remember back in 2018, 2019, the Panthers missed the playoffs by 1 point because the Flyers had 5 more overtime losses than us. It happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're not a playoff team if you don't make the playoffs.
What great insight. You're not a playoff team if you don't make the playoffs.
But that's how it is. You can't keep saying they're a playoff team, but if they miss the playoffs, they're not a playoff team. It's that simple.
Okay, they're not going to miss the playoffs. They're at a 558 point percentage, and they're playing bad. That's them playing bad.
Well, what is the record over the last like 10 games?
I don't fucking know.
It's like
I have
2-8.
it actually.
2-8.
It's 3-7 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying. You have to struggle at some points. Every team has to go through that, or they're going to lose in
know.
playoffs.
Either
It's
way,
good that
they
they're
have
getting it out of the way
terrible
early. They're going to
defensive
be good.
numbers.
I mean, you have some people underperforming too, like Kreider, Trocheck, not doing much. Zibanejad sucks. I mean, there's no way Zibanejad can be this bad all season, right? There's no way.
They're going to give him the captaincy, too.
He's
They're
already
totally
kind of
giving
turned a
the captaincy.
page.
They're going to give him the captaincy. It's going to be great.
It'd be really
Oh,
funny.
man.
But
Oh,
it's got to be
right.
Kreider.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, and they're going to trade him away, too.
Probably.
Okay, but
They're going to give it to Aaron.
don't you think for a team that retooled like 4 years ago, aren't they a little too old to possibly win with this group? Like, there's no way that they're going to win with Panarin, Zibanejad, Shesterkin, Fox. Like, I don't think
the
so.
Rangers have always been perceived as like an old team. You know what I mean? Like, when you think like young, promising teams, you never think the Rangers. You think the Rangers are like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. You know, they're a little bit older, but whatever. But I feel like I never perceive the Rangers as like a young team, if that makes sense.
They have some good young talent, though. Like, I mean, Lafreniere.
They're not a
is
young
getting better
team.
every
But it's
year.
not pushing the needle besides Lafreniere, and even him is
Yeah,
like,
no,
he's just a top six forward.
They're
I
not
would
a young
agree
team.
that I think that their window is like starting to run out with this current group.
Feels like it's already run
So-
out.
I don't think it was ever open.
You don't think it was ever open? They
No.
made the Eastern Conference Finals last
Okay,
year.
And what
But-
happened?
did they ever have... Did they... I don't think they... I know they were up in the series at some point.
They
I don't
never
think
had
they
a chance
ever had
against
a
the
chance.
Panthers.
They never had
They
a
never
chance.
did. They should have
You
gotten
never had
swept.
a chance against Florida.
Obviously they did. Obviously they did.
Well, no, obviously they didn't because they lost, didn't they?
Well, nobody had a chance against us because we're the champs.
I got something brewing for you. Okay, but-
Bruins? Oh, let's talk about the Bruins. They're so fucking bad.
Bruins?
Now we don't need to talk about the Bruins. I don't care.
Yeah, we dismantled. We
He
ended
said
their
it in the
franchise.
Boston accent too.
Four
We ended
Nations
their franchise.
rosters. They've come out now. Let's
Oh,
talk
they
about
have.
those.
Unfortunately,
Well-
they have.
Yeah,
I'll give you
so
3 guesses on who has sent the most representatives out of any team in the NHL. I'll give you
It was
3
the Florida
guesses.
Panthers.
Oh, it
yeah,
sure
well,
was.
see, it's a little bit unfair because they just
Won the Stanley
jammed
Cup.
them all onto the Team Finland. Like,
Yeah,
there's
remind-
literally no
Remind
way.
me who won the Stanley Cup. That's right.
They have
Nico
the
Mikkola.
cup pedigree.
Anton
Hey, don't-
Lundell, Ito
Don't.
Luostarinen, they're just not
Are you
making any other team ever.
slandering? Are you slandering Nico Mikkola right now?
Okay,
Yes, I am actually.
No,
think
hold on.
Mikkola-
Look at Florida's defense. It's looking dry. Mikkola would have made it if he was in the AHL.
Dry. Nico Mikkola is a Stanley Cup champion.
And then they have the random ass Sam Bennett for some reason, because why not?
Random ass
I want to
Sam
say
Bennett.
something. I want to say something real quick about the bottom line for Team Canada, or the bottom 3 forwards. So you have, I mean, like you guessed it, Xavier. Credit to you. You did guess Sorelli, Hagel, Bennett all making the team.
Goat.
I think that's so lame. Like, I think they're all good players. They're all having good seasons. But this feels like it's a tournament to market the NHL. And it feels like it's about the ratings and not about the, like, best hockey players. And you're missing out on the chance to send Bedard and see Bedard with McDavid and McKinnon and Crosby. I have never in my life heard one person say, hey, yo, turn on those Anthony Sorelli highlight reels. Like, what the fuck? He's a
I didn't
great
actually
player.
name one person.
He's a 100% amazing
Okay.
two-way player, but I don't want to see him. I want to see Bedard.
You know what? You can bring Sorelli as that defensive forward, and he's good. He can be flashy sometimes, but if you're going to take as a 13th forward a skill player with Jarvis, why not just take Bedard? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jarvis, so I don't want to call him out. I really like Jarvis.
I don't think the argument is between Bedard and Sorelli. I think they were always going to take Sorelli. I mean, look at who's like managing the team. But
well, no, I was
Jarvis
just using
doesn't make
Sorelli
any
as an
sense
example,
for
but
me.
I would want Bedard over any of those other 3 on the 4th line. I'd probably want him over Jarvis, but I like Jarvis being there.
Well, Hagel is like actually better than him right now.
No, he's amazing, but I don't want to. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not disrespecting them in terms of hockey skill. They're having better seasons than Bedard. I'm disrespecting them in terms of entertainment value, and I want to see Bedard over all of them. But the real problem with Canada is the defense, which I'm going to let you go into because I know you have a bigger problem than I do with the defense.
Yeah, well, Okay, I can completely understand. We got to take some defensive guys, and Bouchard has had some turnovers in a short tournament. Even if you don't want to acknowledge that he's like possibly a top 3 most dominant 5v5 defenseman, you can. I don't understand how you could possibly take any of the defense, Parayko, Pietrangelo, and Sanheim. How do you take those guys over Weegar? Weegar does everything they do better. And if you want to go for a pure defensive guy, why not go Chris Tanev, who plays on the Leafs and is better than Parayko at everything?
I don't know how Parayko made it. I mean, he's been on their radar. I think that's what they said. But Parayko is not a guy I would ever have on this roster. I like Sanheim, though. I will argue you on the Sanheim point. I have liked Sanheim for a while, and I'm glad that he's getting this opportunity. But I will go back to agreeing with you on Pietrangelo, who sucks.
He's so bad. This year, he's not as horrible defensively, but...
This is a bad defense.
Pietrangelo has always been really overrated since he got to Vegas, especially. He's
had some good years, though. I mean, and he was great on St. Louis. I think this defense is so bad. I mean, obviously, Devon Taves was going to make it, but he's also bad. You have Makar and Morrissey, and then you just have 5 guys who are...
Five guys who wouldn't make Team Sweden.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I'm, and it's not even like we have the goalies to bail them out either.
Oh no!
How does Logan Thompson not make it?
Yeah, I was scouting the team the other day when I went to the St. Louis game. I was watching Biddington. He's not looking good. I'll tell you that right now. It's not looking good for him. Logan Thompson definitely should have made it.
Right.
I was hoping they would send. I was hoping they would send Skinner just for entertainment value for all 3 of the other countries.
That's another thing that pisses me off.
Oh, what?
You know... Okay, we all agree that he's not a top 3 goalie for Canada, right?
Obviously.
But he would be there. He would be there if the Oilers scored 2 more goals in Game 7.
I disagree with you.
No, he would be there. If they won a cup, he would be there.
And
I think that's just stupid. That's how they decided.
You're just stupid.
And you know what? Sam Bennett also wouldn't be there. And I think Bennett should be there anyways. Which Bennett might disagree with.
A lot better than you're giving him credit for.
No, I'm literally saying I would bring him to Canada even if he didn't win a cup, because cups have absolutely nothing to do with skill.
I want to say
that's why Skinner shouldn't have gone anyway.
It's really funny how in the preseason projections for Team Canada there were 5 Oilers. It was McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Bouchard, and Skinner, and that's been whittled down to 1. I really love
Nuge go?
Pardon?
Why would Nuge go?
You had him. You 100% had him. You had Nugent-Hopkins.
I don't.
Because you crafted a top power play unit that was just Oilers and then Cale Makar. I remember it. You cannot gaslight me on this one. You had Nugent-Hopkins.
That power play would be pretty good.
It's even stupider now.
All right, we're gonna play a little game here. All right, I'm gonna give you guys 2 stat lines. Okay, and you're gonna tell me what players you think they are. All right, I'll give you a hint. One of them is an Eastern player, and one of them is a Western player.
It's a very big pool of players to choose from.
I know, but you guys are smart, right? You're smart.
I'm smart.
First player, 5 goals, 15 assists in 27 games. Second player, 13 goals, 13 assists in 27 games.
You're comparing Nugent-Hopkins and Bennett.
No, but that's close. I'm comparing Bedard to Bennett.
Bedard. Yeah.
Bedard has 5 goals?
I literally told you. I literally said I could not have been more clear about the fact I'm not disrespecting Bennett, Pirelli, and Hagel off of playing. They're better than Bedard this year. I just said I want to see Bedard in this tournament, you dumb fuck. Use your listening ears next time. Listening ears. Put your listening ears on. I want to see Bedard.
Wasn't that everybody's main problem with the All-Star game? That they just sent players that people wanted to see instead of the players that actually deserve to go to the All-Star game? And that's why we had such a problem with the All-Star game, which is why they removed the All-Star game.
Perfect. So now do it in this tournament. I mean, it makes more sense to send Bedard because you can have him working with these players who he's going to be on the Olympic team with.
How do you?
I got my hands off here.
Maybe Bennett goes to the Olympics.
I will cry. I'm already cheering for Team USA at this tournament. I will cheer for them at the Olympics.
Let's cheering for Team USA.
Yeah, well, I'm not cheering for Team USA yet, but if Quinn Hughes is the captain of Team USA, I'm cheering for Team USA. It's a fake tournament anyway, so.
I'm cheering for Finland. Want to guess why?
Good one. Good one.
Yeah, I'm full of jokes, full of surprises. You know.
Who was another? Well, Jesse Puljujärvi didn't make it, so that.
And I'm pissed. Why didn't he go? Joel Armia, who are you? No, I'm actually not that surprised. I'm not that surprised.
You know what? I'm not surprised either, considering he sucks. And you had him on the second line, by the way.
Okay.
I would just like to remind everyone listening right now: Xavier Evans, Miyamoto,
Chemistry.
Jesse Puljujärvi on the second line.
Chemistry is a thing that matters.
Yeah, that's why we said 4 Panthers.
Do you think
Just-
they still have the chemistry after 8 years?
They still practice together in the summer.
Did they play in the games?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe they played. I don't know. All right, moving on. It recently came out, and I mean, I feel like I knew this, and we all probably knew this, but
We all
basically
assumed it.
confirming that NHL players, a lot of them have burners. Especially, I feel like for like the Gen Z players, absolutely, they've got.
Wasn't
they
it
want to see what
specifically
people are saying.
Crosby? They said it was Crosby, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, the report said it was Crosby because he wants to know what's going on.
Crosby actually that surprises me because like I feel like I've never seen him with a phone or like a girl or like doing anything for that matter. Like guy's a complete
That's
recluse.
stray. Oh my god,
I
that was
don't
crazy.
know.
You just told our listening audience that Sidney Crosby gets no bitches. How do you feel about that?
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying I haven't
No,
seen
that's
him with
exactly
him.
what you said.
For
That's
for
exactly
all
what you
intents
said.
and purposes, he probably has a family of 5, and we just don't know about it. You know what I
Does he
mean?
not have a wife? Do we not know?
No.
This is probably a really easy Google search.
If Sidney Crosby had a partner, we'd know
I think
about
he has
it.
a girlfriend, isn't it?
No.
This is a weird thing to talk about on this. We're talking about
No.
burner accounts, not Sidney
No way.
Crosby's love life.
I'm just saying he's a
Okay,
complete
well-
recluse, so like that doesn't make sense for him to have a burner.
It doesn't
account.
mention anything about a wife, but it does mention teammates as Marc-Andre Fleury, Jonathan Toews, and John Tavares.
Oh,
Oh.
so he's
Maybe-
he's making love with those 3. is what you're
I
saying.
mean,
Like, maybe.
we can't rule it out.
Maybe.
We really can't
No.
rule it out.
We will never know.
I don't know if any NHL players are following me on burners. I did post something on my story the other day asking them to reveal themselves, and I wouldn't tell. But Anton Lundell did like one of my posts on his main account once, and it was just a picture of Eetu Luostarina drunk as shit at the parade. And I guess he saw that. He was like, "That's my friend." And he
I feel like
liked it.
Panthers players would probably be a lot more open to that. I do remember, and I can go through just a short list. Bedard, Genther, Jake Gensel, Matt Benning. I mean, that's not as good of a name there, but they all used to follow me at some point. Especially Genther, and this is when Genther was like 15. So this is when he was a created prospect on like NHL 18. But he was there. He followed me at some point, and Bedard too. But in the case of him and Gensel, it was for like an hour, and then I guess they realized they weren't on their burner accounts. So I feel like it absolutely happens.
The
Yeah,
one
they
Canuck
all
that.
swapped over.
What do you say?
You think they all like swapped over to their burners once they realized like, ah, shit, and then they went
Oh,
straight to the burners?
absolutely. I see a random account like user 445 followed after he unfollowed. You know.
Oh, huge.
All of the Canucks, I'd assume, have run into my page, but the one that I think has to have, for sure, was Demko, because I'm blocked from 2 years ago when I was like shitting on him relentlessly for how bad he was at the start of that season. I didn't tag him in any of my posts that were about him. I didn't tag him once. So like, he must have just seen it. There's definitely a chance he saw it on a burner
He's
and then was like,
searching
"Fuck
his
this
name
guy!
up.
I don't want to see this post anymore." But I never tagged him once in any of those because I wouldn't. When I'm hating on someone for content, I don't direct it to them because I think that's
Yeah.
mean. Unless it's Jake Virtanen, who I'm also blocked by. I don't
That's
feel bad
valid,
about
though.
that.
W.
That's valid.
I think
Yeah.
I'm
I,
also.
feel like I know that I have confirmation that Lundell saw my post because he liked it, but I feel like if there's one Panther that has me on his burner, it's got to be Mackie Samoskevich, bro. He's my age. He's a cornerstone of the
Yeah.
fucking team right now. He's my age. There's no chance in hell he does not follow some meme pages. Now, I don't want to slander him right now, but like, if there's an off chance that he happens to hear this podcast, I love you, man. you gotta control your following, dude. You need a burner. If you look at Mackie Samoskiewicz's following on his main account, it is all Miami and FAU sorority chicks. The whole thing.
Yeah.
And occasionally, like,
but he can't follow Barkov
Mr.
memes.
Boquist or like Sam Bennett, like sprinkled in there. But other than that, it's just all sorority chicks.
Can't fault a guy for knowing what he likes. I mean,
Not at all. He's my age. If I
going
was
to the source.
if I was a rich professional athlete living in South Florida, that's exactly what I'd be doing.
I mean, that's interesting. It
Shameless.
is kind of like for me knowing that I reach a good audience. Like how many NHLers are seeing my posts? Because I see prospects liking my stuff all the time. They probably just haven't, learned to get a burner yet. So how many NHL players are just floating around? I wonder how many have like sent hate comments on my posts before.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one I know for sure. There was one particular time where it was during the 2022 playoffs. There was a video of Jesse Puljujarvi getting absolutely wasted at an Edmonton bar, and I posted it, and then he DM'd me after he followed me and said, "Please down post." I was like, I love you, man. I think I remember. I actually have the screenshot. Maybe I'll show it. But I asked him this was after we had beat the Kings, and I asked him if he wanted to play the Flames or the Stars in the second round, and he was like, "Yeah, of course the Flames. Of course the Flames. We hate them." So that was a good interaction, but I had to delete the post. Sadly, it was doing very well.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Another one that sticks out for me now that I'm thinking of it is Quinn Hughes. When I got the ass tattoo and I posted it and I tagged him, it took him like 20 minutes to comment. Like it was not long until he commented the attaboy. So
How's that?
I mean,
tattoo feel?
this is a conspiracy and it's going to run all the way to the top.
You regretting that yet?
No, I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah,
It's good
It's like
conversation
the greatest
starter.
talking point ever.
Hey, look at my ass.
Yeah, you're at the bar. Hey, girl, you want to see
You guys
my
want to
ass?
see it? I'm wearing pajama pants, so it's going to be easy to whip out.
Let's see it.
All
Yeah,
right.
whip it out, whip it out, whip it out.
He's whipping it out, guys.
Oh my god, he's whipping it out.
Bang! There we go.
Some people ask like if I got it removed, and I'm like, why would I do that?
No.
It's so funny.
You can't fall out of the bit. You got to commit to that.
You see, this is why I told our listeners to go to YouTube. This is what they would be missing right now.
That is true. You're missing my ass if you're listening right now.
Unfortunately, although I
you
think
can
some
just-
people would be pleased with that.
Just be a
If you were
YouTube
still
listener.
listening, you can just switch to YouTube just to see my ass.
Something like that.
If we see like an unusual amount of YouTube views, we're gonna
Why?
have some discussions on the next podcast for our terrible listeners.
All right.
All right.
I got to study for my exam. Do you want to go to the
Yeah.
2 questions sent in?
We are going to move on quickly to the 2 questions because, frankly, there were probably about 300 questions you guys asked, and they all sucked. They were all like, "Hi, how you doing? Hey, man, are you doing all right? How's school?" I don't want to know about that. Ask
Good job,
me
guys.
good questions. All
Good
right.
job, guys. I know that those were a lot of my followers too.
Oh, they were.
Probably. I mean,
A
that
couple
sounds like
ones
my
here.
followers.
Think about the cap implications of this and the player. Would you have done, if you're the Oilers, Trouba for Nurse?
That could be the first lose-lose contract in NHL history. Neither team gets better by doing that.
JC, you go ahead because I've got thoughts that I want to say.
Oh, I'm sure you've got great thoughts.
Oh, the Canucks were actually very interested in Trouba, and
That's
that
insane.
terrified me when that report came out. So, with that being said, there's literally no chance where if I'm the Oilers, I would trade for Jacob Trouba. You go ahead.
Okay, just to be clear, their contracts are $8 million times 1 for Trouba, and then 9.25 times 6 for Nurse.
You like Nurse, don't you?
Would I trade him for $9 million in free cap space right now? Absolutely. So you're basically doing that while just accepting you have Trouba for 1 year.
Yeah, and then you lose. You give up on this season. Your window's slowly closing, and you've already.
You don't
wasted a year
automatically
having Trouba.
lose. You don't automatically
That's a tough pill to
lose.
swallow.
It's
That's a
Jacob
tough pill
Trouba.
to
You
swallow.
automatically lose.
You have to
I mean-
sit there and think about that. Like Jacob Trouba is now a member of your team.
But it's a good point though, because you kind of are phoning in the year if you're trading your I mean, I was going to say second best. I don't even know if he's our
Be
fourth.
careful with your words, bro.
He might be our fourth behind Bouchard, Ekholm, Kulak at this point. As good as he's played this year, that's just more testament of how insane Kulak has played. But
I mean, as Jack Michaels said, you want to be seeing Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Darnell Nurse play together until they're 40, right? Those are three guys you want to see together.
Yeah,
was that Jack Michaels?
I think he said that. Yeah, that's actually.
I think it was him. Someone said that, and it's like, yeah, no, those are definitely the.
It's actually not something I want to see until they're 40. Frankly, I actually hope it's a lot shorter than that.
Like, I don't want Trouba, and especially in your case, like, where you guys have just made the finals, you guys have gone through the losing in the playoffs that you have to do to eventually make the cup final. I mean, Nurse is more useful than Trouba is, and you got to go for it now. This is the next 3 years are like hammer time. You got to get it in these next 3 years. You got to make it. You got to get it before McDavid turns 30, I'd say, or else it's going to just be slowly downhill.
I'd give it 6 years before Draisaitl starts to like take a serious downturn.
You think your window's 6 more years?
Yeah, easily. Easily.
Okay. Sure.
Well, I mean, elite players like that we're seeing now, they kind of don't really fall off until they're like 33, 34, right? So, I mean, and the rest of the roster, they're pretty, like the rest of the core guys are all kind of in that range with McDavid. So, I don't...
But they're not putting up as many points. Like you look at Crosby's production, and it's kind of skewed because he played through the period where scoring was so down.
Yeah,
but he was a better player then.
He got dealt a bad
I don't know
hand.
I don't know if old 35-year-old Connor McDavid is going to be able to bring the Oilers to the Stanley Cup, especially when he's making like $20 million and taking up all the cap space. So you have to sign. I
mean, if he's worth 30, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much he's making at that point. I don't even want to care about the cap space.
Did you say who sent in that question?
I didn't note it down. How did we start talking about McDavid after Trouba for Nurse?
I don't know.
Anyway,
we talked about we talked about the contending period and how
yeah.
Trouba sucks.
So next question,
reviewer.
And this one's going to be. This one might take a little while because I got a lot. I might have to think about it. Best moment.
Summarize it.
Owning this account. Best moment.
Shit, dude.
In like 6 years.
Okay, well you go first because you apparently have to yap.
I don't know if I'll really yap, especially because essence of time. I'll summarize a couple. I've gotten recognized probably about like 100 times at this point, and it's always kind of cool. Although when it happens on transit, it's a little annoying. Although the absolute best moment, you know what? It's probably when Puljujärvi DM'd me. There's like 100 moments that I could talk about, but your favorite player DMing you is, I mean, I was like 18 at the time. I was still a little kid, but I thought I think that's my favorite, just in terms of how I felt. I think it was great.
It's pretty awesome.
There's actually more stories I could go into, but essence of time, you know.
Jared, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can name a couple things that I've really enjoyed. There was a point where the official Panthers page followed me. That was back on my other account that got deleted during the purge. And there was a point where Barkov followed me for about an hour and then unfollowed me. It's like you guys said, like they follow you and like they realize and they unfollow you. So maybe he's still watching to this day on a burner, but I don't know. That was
guarantee you he is.
There was one time I was walking around Times Square and I got recognized and I was like, holy shit, like in New York, really?
That's insane.
Seriously? Didn't have a Panthers jersey on or nothing. They just knew what I looked like. I was like, okay, that's kind of scary. The Barkies, both 1 and 2. I know I'm supposed to put on Barkies 3. I'm working on it. I'm trying my best.
It's not happening.
Shut up. Don't say that. They need to have faith that it's happening. They need to have something to believe in this world.
I mean, getting Bobby Ryan to present an award was so funny for a little bit, and then it stopped being funny.
Getting Bobby Ryan to say that Bogo Norris was the worst account on Instagram was honestly one of my favorite moments of my life. That was
that's an all-timer.
And I remember us on like Yeah, but I remember us on the Discord just like dying laughing when he said it because I didn't even have it where like I edited in like who won. Like no, I made him say that shit. I was like, Bobby, you're gonna say this and it's gonna be funny, all right? And I got urinating tree to not only do it on the first Barkies, but I got him to do it again on the second Barkies.
That was also really good.
Yeah, and he said he would be willing to do a third one. I DM'd him. He's my homie now. Me and urinating tree, and then obviously getting to experience winning the cup. As like running this account for like 6 years at this point, finally getting to see that happen in front of my eyes was like, especially since I did threaten to delete my account or sell it, which I probably
it was all or nothing.
I would have literally never been able to show my face on the internet ever again if we blew that.
Yeah,
I would have never been able to show my face again. People still bring it up. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, go fuck yourself, I guess. But what just happened?
Juan Soto and the New York Mets are in agreement on a 15-year, $765 million contract. $765 million for Juan Soto to go to New York.
Did they learn nothing?
To the other part of New York.
Did they learn nothing? From their last 15-year contract, did they learn nothing? They're still paying that one off.
I knew that this signing would happen during this podcast. I was hoping it would at least because I knew it was coming tonight. It's from 5 minutes ago. Jeff Passan. Juan Soto is a New York Met forever.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Wow.
sorry to cut you off, but we got a live reaction to something. It just so happened to be baseball.
Live on the podcast.
That's pretty much all I got anyway. So JC, you're up. What's your favorite moment running that page besides is it your ass tattoo or is it something else?
Well, that's one of it. Getting the ass tattoo and being so nervous, like, did I do this all for nothing just for Quinn to comment and, recognize it? That was really, really fun. And obviously, like, it brought me some good attention, which was funny. But I echo the points of being recognized. I mean, more recently at the Senators game, during second intermission, like the Senators Canucks game, I had a line coming down the stairs to meet me and take a photo with me and talk to me. And I mean, that was so surreal. So it's really cool how far this has taken me, considering there have been so many times where I wanted to give up on it throughout like the past, I've almost been doing it for like 7 years now, I think.
I still have moments like recently where I've thought about like selling my shit. I'm like, do I really want to still do this anymore?
Do it.
But I don't know. I feel like the ends justify the means. We've gone a long time. We've known each other for like 7 years at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it has all so far worked out. I want to take it further, obviously. I'm not done with it. I hope I'm not close to being done with it because I want to do this forever. I'm doing more now. I'm writing, doing this pod, and it's fun. And I enjoy this. I enjoy yapping about hockey to anyone who will listen, and also making fun of people who play hockey.
I didn't think that was going to get that existential. Wow.
It's fun. I mean, it's a big part of my life. As weird as it is, I didn't think it would end up being a big part of my life. It has been a very big part of my life.
Yeah.
I just like making people laugh. I post what I find fun, and I hope that my followers find it funny too. Well, we know you don't. But
yeah, no, you like making people angry.
you do like
your motive.
You have a really awesome way of making people angry. You post things, and immediately the comments are flooded with, just another typical Xavier opinion.
I think they get a lot more angry. I think I've perfected it at this point.
You are really good at it, and it's always your tier list. No matter what it's a tier list on, it's always a tier list.
It's been about a month since I've dropped a tier list.
We should do a collab post on tier list.
No, we shouldn't.
Yes,
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you know what? We could do a tier list for one topic, and then like each of our. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
We'll cook on that.
All right. Well, I wanna make a post about this Juan Soto contract, and then go and study for my exam. That is literally in 11 hours that I have not studied for at all. So I think this is where we call it. Thank you very much, Jared Barkov Memes, for coming on the pod. Thanks for
having me. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure, despite you trying to mix in some phrases that we don't want to hear on the podcast. But
I've done no such thing.
Of course not.
You're hearing things. You're a crazy person.
It seems like next week we're going to have another special guest. That's going to be 3 weeks in a row with a special guest. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun. Xavier, do you have anything you want to say before we leave this?
Nope.
Wow, you are useless. Do you not have anything funny? Any little anecdote?
I gotta piss so bad.
Jared, do you have anything you want to say before we end this?
No, let me go.
I was gonna say Hawk Tua, but I'm not gonna say it.
All right, good.
No, you just said it!
That's going to be it for the Pacific Perspectives podcast. We will see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Follow Barkov memes. Follow.
No, don't do that.